This isn't so much of a vlog, it's more of a like tutorial type video. So if you guys have the Kia Forte or Forte SX like I have, which is basically the hatchback, or the Forte 5, whatever, SX Turbo, and you guys get the 6th element cold air intake, which is basically what I have here, as you can see.
DJ Zeus.
I've had this on my car now for several months. I'm trying to remember when I put it on. I think it was sometime during the summer. Shit gets pretty annoying. It's really loud. I thought I'd be able to live with it because I'm getting extra power. It's been off and on raining today, and I'm partially in the garage. Toasty! Let me set up this camera and then get started on this. You have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of these little pop-off things, which you have to take off and out. Don't lose them. There's 2 of those kind, and then there's... Actually, I think that might be it, to be honest. Yeah, it is. Okay. It's kind of wet. Like I said, it was raining. Okay, so I got the lower intake tube off, and this is a AEM filter. This is basically the filter that you get when you order the 6 element cold air intake. And as you can see, this pipe is pretty huge. It is a 3.5 inch inlet, or 3.5 inch diameter pipe, so definitely can suck in a lot of air, and I think that's why it makes so much noise, because if it was a smaller pipe that fit a little more snugly, we wouldn't be having that issue. But that's pretty simple. So once you get these two little things off here, once those pop off, and they're one right here in the front of the bumper, so one right here and then one over here. For installation, it's pretty much the exact same thing. You just got to take these off, shove the tube in there. As you can see, it came out all together as one piece, which is pretty cool. So you can go ahead and put the filter onto this pole and then shove it up in there like so, and then that's where you attach it with the little coupler, with this coupler here, and the lower pipe goes in here, and then that's where your filter sits, basically in that little cubby area. So then this goes on that, and it comes with 2 of these. Just so you know, these things are a pain in the ass to tighten, because if you put a socket wrench on it, it's basically going to this part will extend more to the point to where you can't really use a socket wrench, and you got to go with just a regular wrench. So that part wasn't too bad. This part right here, the part that you really have to worry about is this part, because there's limited space in here, and that's where it became a pain in the ass, at least for installing it. Simple. This bracket goes onto where the corner battery bracket is, which is pretty simple, but I'm going to try and put that on right now and see if I can hook that up to this. If that doesn't work, then just the whole thing's coming off and I'm going back to stock. But luckily I do have a K&N drop filter from when I had it before. It's still fairly clean for the most part. Probably should have washed this out yesterday and let it sit overnight to dry. Don't want to lose that screw. That's not that to move around. And actually, now that I think about it, I actually have to remove this, because that's where that little bracket goes onto, is right there. And there's a little spacer that comes with the kit. It's fine now. So that's what it comes with. Now basically all I want to do is put this thing back on. I think this will definitely dampen the sound a lot. I just need to see if this upper intake pipe will actually fit onto it. It's about the same size as the diameter of the upper pipe, so I'm hoping it'll just connect like so. Okay, so unfortunately that's not going to work, so I'm going to have to go back to the stock piping. The issue that I basically ran into is, as you can see, the upper intake pipe is going over. It's extended further out towards the front, whereas this is back here, and there's just like no way to push this forward to line it up with that and then put the coupler on. Unfortunate, but it's okay. I plan on selling this intake, so I will throw a link in the description below. We'll be selling it on eBay. The filter is it's at least 6 months old, so it's got about 8 to 10,000 miles on that filter. So you might need to replace the filter, but the piping is legit. There's no scratches or dents on it. Like, I took really good care of it when installing it, and I will be taking good care of uninstalling it. It's just dusty, so it looks kind of grayish, but don't worry, I will clean it up, get back to black, be good as new. Okay, so now for the part that I dread. It's basically getting those 2 clamps off of the turbine. As long as I can at least get this one off, then I will be able to just pull it all off together, and it should be a lot easier than trying to disconnect both of those. And then I also have to take off this little air filter here that it was included in the kit, and that just goes into the engine thingamajig. I forgot. Sorry you guys, I'm not hardcore into this like I used to be, unfortunately, but you know, you grow up and then you end up having different priorities. And for me right now, my priorities are my niece and nephews, which I'm fostering. So let's see if I can get in here and get this loosened to the point to where I can just take it off. So I'll tell you one thing, this is definitely easier taking off than it was putting on, because I remember it took me about an hour and a half to take it off. But it was mostly the stupid clamp that goes on the stock hose that connects to the turbine, because that shit gets so hot that like the rubber of the I forgot what this thing's called, but the rubber of that thing didn't necessarily melt onto it, but it, like, you know, the heat and stuff, it made it shrink, and it was on there pretty tight. So now I just get a fucking screwdriver to get it up underneath there. And one thing to note too, if you're putting on your intake, make sure you do it when your engine's cold. And I'm not just saying the engine itself, the turbine also, because that shit heats up real bad, and you don't want to burn yourself. Luckily for me, I just, you know, woke up and came outside, and my car's been sitting overnight, so that is what it is. But here you have it. As you can see, the coupler goes from a smaller inlet, I think that's a 2.5 inch, or something like that. So and that is basically what the turbine looks like. Now I just got to get this little piece off right here that leads to that. Alright, got it off. So this is basically what it looks like. I think this is the part that goes over the turbine, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. And then this part goes into the intake housing, and then that connects to your, not blow-off valve, but your, I forgot what the original name for it is called, but basically your blow-off valve thing. Shit, now that I think about it. So what I did was I turned this screw around this way so that they're both facing this way, because for some reason when you get it, they have this one on backwards. I think it's to prevent you from taking it off, but I'm running into that problem, so I don't know if it'll screw on tightly, because then I'll start hitting that. I need to double check and see if it'll work. If not, then I'm gonna have to put it back on the other way. I just wanted to make it easier, because this was hard to take off, because that was actually back there, which was actually behind the turbine, so that was a pain. Alright, let's see if this will go on. Alright, so that's on there. Now I just gotta screw that thing on. Hopefully it'll screw tight enough to get tightened, so I don't have to worry about it falling off. Okay, so once those are secured, I just secured the one on this side as well. Now I gotta put the hose that goes from here to there. So now unfortunately with the kit, when you get this thing, this is actually stock from the engine. So it didn't come with that, you know, little clamp thing there. That is one thing that you'll have to buy, or you won't even need to buy it actually, because you use the one from your engine that goes over the, you know, the hose on there, and then you won't need another one because this is actually clamped on that side of this. So that on, clamp that on there, and there you have it. Upper intake assembly is done. Now you got to put on the top part of your filter cover. Let me adjust the camera. Actually there's one thing I forgot to do, and that was put the hose on from here to the blow-off valve thing, which is actually under here. So luckily I didn't screw that on yet. There we go with that. That on there like that. Okay, so I just moved around a little bit, but basically you have these 3 screws that come out of the bottom of your intake box. One on this side, one on that side, and then one over here on that side. That one's the one that actually goes by the battery. Okay. Just get your ass in there. So one thing that I don't have, I don't think anyways, are these 2 lock-in screws. They're just like these ones that came out of the bottom of the little fender area underneath. I think I lost them or broke them, I don't remember, but I don't have them, or they're nowhere to be found for that matter. So okay, all done. Now this goes on there. This actually has to go on here. That needs to be tightened. It's a little mushed up. Put that in there, clamp this piece on, clamp that side on. That's pretty much the end of this tutorial video. If you guys found this video helpful or useful in any way, as always, make sure to give me a thumbs up. Also, make sure to click subscribe for more tutorial and review type videos. Also got some vlogs just as filler and stuff if you're curious of what's going on in my life. But yeah, thank you guys for watching. Until next time, peace.